If you don't even know who you are, then you're in good company because neither do I. This is probably the show for you. This is ExGifted. Hi friends, welcome to ExGifted. I'm Reneliza. How the hell are you? No, I mean, who the hell are you? We've been talking for months now about growth. Growing means changing, but should we change? Well, should we be the same people we were as teenagers? If you aren't the same person you were 10 or 20 years ago, then which one is the real you? So that brings me back to, who are you? Are you your brain or your body? Are you your behavior, your beliefs, your values, your thoughts or feelings? Are you other people's impressions of you? Are you your results on a personality quiz or your zodiac signs? A lot of you hear that list and think yes to some combination of those things. I certainly do. But a lot of you are also thinking, definitely yes, this is the answer to certain items on the list. But the thing is, others are thinking exactly the same thing, but for different answers. Some of you are nodding and thinking very loudly that yes, of course we are our thoughts, while others are jumping to your feet and pounding your hands on the table, insisting, we are our actions. Okay, that's maybe a bit dramatic, but the point is that there's a consensus that you should be yourself and absolutely none on who yourself even is. So, how are you supposed to know who to be? And if you grow and change too much, are you still yourself? Or are you avoiding or covering up who you really are? I see people on social media saying that it's so much easier to just be yourself than to be anyone else. But often there's an underlying assumption here that being yourself means just being the default version of you that comes out without any examination. This assumption is absolutely incorrect. Because we are all products of decades, centuries even, because this shit's systemic, of programming that have changed our defaults to move them out of alignment with our values. Being yourself isn't that easy. It's a lot of hard work, but it is worth it. It's more rewarding, it's more comfortable, although not when you're still learning how to do it. It's more enjoyable, and it's infinitely more fulfilling, but no, I wouldn't say it's easier, and the unpacking and discovery never ends. People in the autistic community know this process well. It's called unmasking, where one undoes years of childhood training to act more neurotypical and fit in better with their peers and make their parents not worry so much about how weird they are. Sometimes, especially for those who are undiagnosed into adulthood, this training is done automatically through social conditioning. But for many autistic people diagnosed as children, it is done deliberately via up to 40 hours a week of ABA. But the inherently abusive nature of behaviorism is a topic for another day because whether you're autistic or not, you've been subject to decades of molding that has greatly influenced who your true self is. It becomes nearly impossible to determine where the mask ends and you begin. Autistic masking takes a toll mentally, emotionally, and even physically, so it's important to do the work which allows you to choose when to put the mask on and say, smile at strangers and fake eye contact at work, and when to take it off, like maybe wearing your headphones when you go grocery shopping and ignoring everyone. Who's to say which version is more real? Well, you are. All that matters is which one you like. If you have a powerful resting bitch face, but you like the feeling of smiling at strangers sometimes, you're allowed to do it without feeling like you're being fake. You get to choose who you are. Let's get a little deeper though. If you have a problem with internalized misogyny or some other complaint where you're not living in alignment with your values, you don't have to accept it because that's just the way you truly are deep down. But usually that's what we do. We hate these things, but we accept them as fundamental parts of our core identities. We take these trainings instead as immutable truths because they're wired in and hard to change. And we hate and criticize ourselves for them at the same time. If you have a lot of things you dislike about yourself, then you probably love talk about personal growth and self-improvement because it can be such a powerful weapon to wield against yourself. It's easy to jump straight into fixing or changing yourself. This will never lead to self-love or self-acceptance because there's an infinite number of things for you to hate about yourself. Once you fix one, another will just take its place. Especially in neurodivergent and mental health communities, or really just any group of us misfits in general, we have spent so much of our lives trying to fix and change ourselves for other people's benefit that once we finally start finding others like ourselves and breaking the stigma, we become wary of any talk of growth or change, and with good reason. Any kind of change that is intended to fix yourself is fundamentally flawed. It's always impossible to fix yourself because believing that you're broken is a huge part of the problem. But what's the alternative? What do we do about deep-seated misogyny or racism or any other legitimate criticisms that we have about ourselves? We take a lesson from the dude. We abide. Acknowledge and forgive the parts of yourself that you don't like. Don't deny or fight or despise those traits, and definitely don't attack yourself just for having them, especially if you weren't the one to plant them there in the first place. But also, don't yield and give in to them. Don't accept any of those things as your fate because you choose who you are. If you value anti-racism, then acknowledge your racist traits. When you have a racist thought, don't just shout it down. Ask yourself, whoa, where did that come from? Once you actually have the root, that's when you have the opportunity to actually pull it out and practice a different thought in its place that actually aligns with your values. Learning to differentiate between a mess of beliefs and personality traits and your identity is key to personal growth because, yes, throughout the process, your identity will change. That long list from the beginning of this episode, if you're doing it right, you'll change almost every single one of those things. Even your values are likely to shift as you examine them more closely and gain experience. So if you ask me, you are whoever you choose to be, but I don't know if you've noticed, it's fucking hard to make that kind of decision and then actually stick to it. That's the whole reason I invented the role planning system and the quest for chaos. I wanted to offer people something that I could have used myself: guidance on finding my values and assistance actually living up to them. The planner itself is just to keep track of the how. What really matters is the why. If this sounds like something you need to, then go check it out at ko-fi.com/reneliza and see if it looks like something that could help you. The real magic is in the 3 months of support in the Quest for Chaos that comes included. If you don't need help, and let's be clear, it's okay if you do need help. We love to shame ourselves for needing help with things that should be easy tasks for us to do on our own and end up struggling needlessly and usually spending twice as much in the long run. Definitely not talking about myself buying gimmicky cleaning supplies in order to trick myself into cleaning, which definitely doesn't work, instead of just hiring someone who knows what they're doing. But if you don't need the help, the answer is still the same. It's a 2-step process. Choose who you want to be that person. Let's be clear that this will likely result in doing things that you don't want to do in the moment, and also in a lot of things that make you feel really uncomfortable. That's okay. This goes back to the assumption that the real you is whoever comes out by default. I don't know about you, but the me that comes out by default is sometimes like really awesome and sometimes just kind of garbage. So choosing who you want to be is not the same thing as doing what you want to do moment to moment. If you love running and you want to be a person that goes for a jog first thing in the morning, that won't make the desire to hit the snooze button go away. You don't just wait until you naturally become a person who doesn't like to sleep in without any effort. You choose to be a runner and then you become that person. That's not pretending to be someone you're not. It's being exactly who you are meant to be by your own design. It's okay to choose to be uncomfortable for your long-term benefit. It doesn't mean that you're a poser or that you're not being true to yourself. Do you think Simone Biles and Michael Phelps want to wake up and train every morning? Do you think they never push themselves to the point of discomfort? Of course not. Either assumption would be absurd. But that doesn't mean that she isn't meant to be a gymnast or that he isn't meant to be a swimmer. That's clearly just as absurd. They are each who they choose to be. Even if comfort is what you value over all else, and it's not a bad choice in my worldview, you'll likely have to make yourself uncomfortable sometimes in order to achieve maximum comfort overall. If you avoid the discomfort of cleaning, you'll soon end up in an uncomfortable home. Just because we refuse to change for someone else's benefit doesn't also mean that we can't change for our own benefit. And sometimes this can be a tough knot to untangle. Should you put more effort into housework so your mom won't bug you about it anymore when she visits? Fuck no. But who actually benefits the most from your having a clean house? Not the outsiders nagging you about it, but you and anyone else who actually lives there. So yeah, put more effort into it if it actually bothers you. This is where we have to unpack that programming first. Does it actually bother you, or is that just your training talking? But do it as self-care. Do it for your benefit. Clean to be selfish and indulgent. If you can't even imagine that, then you probably don't actually care that much about cleaning, and that's fine. Or more likely you do care, but it's so far down your list of priorities that you can't even see it, and that's fine too. Your house may never be cleaner than it is today, but you can still love yourself and feel joy in your home. Stop desperately chasing change in order to fix yourself. Stop desperately avoiding change for fear of the unknown. Ren, I'm talking to you. Embrace the change that comes with the season of life. Be open to opportunities for growth that will bring more joy into your life. And at every turn, forgive yourself for whatever decisions you make and whatever actions you take. Imagine walking up to a tree and asking it why it keeps stretching its branches and growing taller and wider when it's perfectly good as it is. But you cast speak with plants or something first, because otherwise it wouldn't understand you. But actually, even with the spell, it wouldn't understand you. The question is inherently flawed because it assumes that growth and the corresponding change is meant to fix some lack or flaw in who we are. What if growth and change is who we are? What if a human identity can't be defined in any one moment in time, but only by the experiences and adaptations of a lifetime? And what if that means that the you of today and the you a year from now look entirely different, but that neither one of you is right or wrong or better or worse or good or evil? They're just both the you that you needed to be. You can change even when nothing at all has gone wrong. What if not all who wander are lost? Until next time, tell your tree friend that I said, keep growing.